All right, we are live. Yep, I think so. Here we go. This is Stone Guy 223. Appreciate everybody tuning in tonight. And we've got gun websites with us.
Hey, thanks for the link.
Absolutely. And Sean, do you have a channel name, brother?
Nope, just hanging out.
Just Sean, huh? Right on. Well, I appreciate you jumping in here. If I can unclick G-Webs, there we go. All right, so we'll jump into it. Give it a minute. Got a lag on the YouTube side. I've got some links out. Got a couple more people that asked for links. I've got those out. Mr. Lock and Load, check your messages on YouTube, I think is how that should come through. Anyway, so kind of wanted to rehash a little bit of a topic we got into last night on Never Enough Ammo. I thought it was funny. Matt called me today, and we thought we were going to do Yankees chat tonight, and Yankee cut his power cord, so that didn't happen. But I was flipping through some of Matt's comments, and it amazes me how many people hear what they want to hear. And you kind of expect that when you're on YouTube. You kind of put yourself out there.
But I was up, so what did I miss? What was Matt's chat about?
Well, it was supposed to be about shit. I don't even know what it was supposed to be about, but it ended up being mostly about welfare and how people take advantage of the system, and whether or not, towards the end we posed the question of whether or not you should be required to submit a drug test if you're on any kind of government subsidies, welfare, anything like that. But more importantly, what I wanted to get across to people is, again, I kind of expect it, and it is what it is. I won't name names because you know who you are out there, but these fucking people that just have nothing better to do than to berate myself and other people in the chat, call us names, for our opinions. And it just baffles me. I mean, I don't know if they're, if they have a lot of repressed anger from their daddies abusing them as a child, or what it is, but come on, people. We do these chats as it's just that. It's guys sitting around chatting, telling opinions, and for some of these people to get on there and post comments that are just, mean-spirited and insulting is asinine, in my opinion. And like I said, we kind of expect it because we do put ourselves out here to be judged, and I get that. But, I know myself and a lot of these other guys on the panel, we don't go posting comments and calling people names, and I just think it's ridiculous that other people do it. It is what it is. It's your right to do that. If it makes you feel better about your little dick to call people names, then hey, more power to you. But it always amazes me how much people hear what they want to hear on these chats. And so there was a couple points that I wanted to get across that I don't know if it got muddied, during the conversation or not. But the main thing, about the whole topic of welfare was, the fact that absolutely we need to have a welfare system of some sort. There's a lot of situations where people are, down and out, fall on hard times, and need that government, backing, I guess, for lack of a better term.
I hear that people have bad times, but I'm pretty sure people had bad times before the United States was around and before we had welfare in the United States. And I'm down for some other option that doesn't involve federal government doing it, because they're going to do it wrong.
Well, and that was not that the government was doing it wrong, but I guess that's another aspect of something we didn't even get into. Um, most of what we talked about was the fact of these people. And that was the other thing. I think I got called racist. And for those of you, like I said, it is what it is. For those of you that watch the chats on a consistent basis, you know that at the end of every Never Enough Ammo chat, I consciously, purposely say something racist so that Matt can say, and on that note, that's scripted. So for these fuckers that get all bent out of shape and offended, fuck you. Like, that's scripted. If you don't get sarcasm, that's I can't hold your hand and walk you through sarcasm. So that is what it is. But the welfare is not a race thing. It's not a black thing. There's all colors and religions, and there's all sorts of people on welfare. So definitely understand when we talk about if I say these people, I'm not talking about black people. I'm talking about people on welfare, whether it's white, black, or whatever. And the problem is that those people on welfare
abuse. That there's more poor white people on welfare than anybody else anyway.
Well, exactly. That's what I'm saying. It's not a race issue at all. It's a fucking issue of people abusing that system, abusing the welfare system. And
let me ask you: is it that people are going to abuse it, or is that if you put a government thing there, it has to exist? So, in other words, the people that are, how the people always complain they have to wait in line for whatever in the government, those people that are the ones that they talk to when they're waiting in line, they're getting a paycheck, right? And there means that I'm guessing there's somebody in that government organization whose job it is to make sure that organization gets advertised, or whatever it would be the equivalent of advertising for the government. You know what I mean? So, in other words, as soon as the government agency exists, it's going to go out like any other business would try to live, and it's going to go out there and recruit customers or clients, in this case, people that it feels need assistance. And that's where I'm concerned, is if you give the same people who are tasked with doing the job, if you task that same group of people with justifying their job, in other words, going out and finding their customers and stuff, then that's a conflict of interest,
It could very well be, because we kind of loosely tied it into the fact that there's a large demographic of people that are on welfare or government assistance that vote for a certain party, a certain Democratic Party. And is that is there a correlation there? Who knows? I mean, you could argue both sides of that, considering that the overwhelming majority of people on welfare do vote Democrat, because it's the Democratic Party that pushes for all the more amenities of welfare, versus a Republican side that's trying to push welfare reform and cut back on welfare.
And they say that, but when's the last time there was a Republican? Did any of the welfare go away? Or they just talk about
it? Well, there you go. And that leads us to the whole thing of, is there really any difference between Republican and Democrat? Truly, I mean,
that's the thing. It doesn't really matter, because what you're talking about is trying to bring the politic part in, but what we're really talking about is people as government, again, what is that called? Like self-interest, making sure their job is still there. So it don't matter if you're a Republican or a Democrat, you're not going to get rid of that system. You're maybe going to fiddle with the system so that people think you're doing something in the direction they want, but they're not going to fundamentally change anything. So somebody said something in here, I think it was Michigander said, where there was a time when communities were connected, and times fell on somebody in the community if someone makes blah blah blah. So I'm just cutting off there, because that's the part that made me think that I don't think that was necessarily like people got cynical or people got uninterested in their neighbors. I think that, again, the government said, "Oh, we're the saviors to all of this, so put your faith in us. We'll fix it." So they went out and discouraged all the stuff, all the systems that would have been in place or that could have been in place because number one, if let's say it's a church or let's say it's a community group or let's say it's a group of civic-minded individuals who form a club and they want to do something to help the people that are the recipients of welfare. Well, those people, those individuals that make up whatever group I'm talking about, they have to pay taxes, and if they're going to be if the tax money is going to be taken from them, they have fewer resources in which to prove to everyone that they can do a better job than the government. Are you with me? So I suspect that not only did the government come in and create a thing to say, well, we're going to do the job everybody else was doing, but they also made it more difficult because they also said, in order to do this, we're going to take some money from you, which made it harder for them to have extra time to do the volunteer work they would have done back in the day. And I suspect there's probably parts of the welfare system that are going out there and knocking down private things that are trying to compete with it. So I'm not a scholar on it. I'm just going off of my gut feeling that a bunch of people, and nobody's going to go to work for the government. They don't want everything given to them. There's no way you go to work for the government thinking like, I'm going to make a difference. I'm going to do all kinds of work and change things. No, you go work for the government because you want that somebody else's work to benefit you, right?
So I think they all start out with that intention. The new bright-eyed,
No. I used to think that. I think maybe back in the day, but not when there's classes in college called political this and that, or working with the system, or learning how to do the thing, that the government says, and how to, I'm saying they literally go to school thinking, okay, if I want a solid job, I know people who work for like counties and stuff who are like, I want the pension, or I want this and that, so there's people that are like, oh no, this is a good solid job, this is something, so I'm going to go learn how to play that game, the game of working in the bureaucracy of government.
God help me, I'm going to take a Yankee stance here, but I think one of the biggest problems we've got right now historically is people became so complacent with the government taking care of things that they forgot that their government is of their people, of the people. And they became so complacent with the people who were voting certain people in that the majority are just blowing it off. And then when it all goes to shit, then they turn around and go, whoa, these aren't the people we voted for. Yeah, you did. You just didn't pay attention. So, the government is of the people. That's by definition. The problem is the people who are paying attention to those people who are being put in there are all of some agenda, while the vast majority of people are just blindly voting for these people. They think, oh, they'll take care of this. They took care of my dad and his dad's dad, and they really didn't. Dad took care of himself. Dad's dad built what Dad took care of himself with. I just read the statistic earlier this morning. The person who makes, on average, $50,000 a year only spends $36.82 of their income towards food stamps, or the program of food stamps. They only spend $6.96 out of their $50,000 a year salary on the welfare system. However, they spend $4,000 of their income towards corporate subsidies. And who influences corporate subsidies? These people have certain people elected to protect their interests.
Yeah, absolutely, and I know that was kind of one of the arguments.
For people, is the world better off, or is the country better off, or if we let all the corporations die? I hear you, but that doesn't have a correlation to me.
I think the correlation our anger is a little misplaced.
Right. Well, people from even last night's chat were saying if you want to talk about abuse and abuse of a system and then look at, like you said, look at the big companies and the rich people and taxes and all the and yes, that is you could draw a lot of parallels with the fact that those corporations, the big money and the big people that line the pockets of the politicians, they're from an actual, like, maybe legal standpoint, for lack of a better term, like, they're probably way more crooked than what the people that are abusing the welfare system are doing, as far as actual laws or just robbing the system. but it's two totally different things.
Yeah, the
Well,
only difference is they get away with it.
clarify the welfare system in general, because when people hear welfare, they think of the guy sitting on the porch waiting for checks, and welfare is so much more than that. You have to lump in things like Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security.
No, that's the sucker bet. I don't look at the end user because obviously everyone wants to help the end user. We're all humans, so we want to help each other.
No,
But
we're
I look
talking
at
just
is
about
the
the abuse of the
bureaucracy,
system.
and I look at the waste and all the hidden agenda. And you guys are going to continue. I mean, I won't definitely stand for. I won't agree with the corporations are the ones at fault somehow with welfare. No. So I'm
No,
not
no,
going
no,
to.
no, no. It's not the corporations are at fault at welfare.
No, but you're going to
You're all-
suggest greedy, wealthy people. I suggest the greedy people are the laziest greedy people are the ones that are in the bureaucracy of government, hidden, and they're the
Right.
most evil. I mean, there might be a few bad rich people. I agree. There probably are lots of bad rich people or a couple. I don't really care because it doesn't bother me what rich people do. But it bothers me when the people who are really being deceptive are hiding out in all that bureaucracy, and we're complaining about $25 hammers and somehow blaming the rich people when, when you look at it, that's not where that's
Yeah, no, and I think we're getting a little clouding the water here because it's really two different things. You know, the topic for tonight and what I was focused on primarily was the just the people that are abusing the welfare system. And you could preface that by saying it may not be a large percentage. It may be a negligible percentage of people that are actually doing things that would make a financial impact. You know, if you spread it across the board, maybe 3%. Who knows? I'm just throwing out arbitrary number, but 3%, 5% of everybody that's on welfare is actually abusing the system. And then you could argue and say, well, is that 5% really making a financial impact on the system as a whole? Who knows? Who knows? But the problem, that still doesn't negate the fact that that problem exists, that there are people that freaking abuse the system, and there should be things in place to deter or stop that abuse from occurring. And that's all I'm getting at. It could be
bureaucratic, heavy system, top-heavy system that is being abused. And are we seriously suggesting that the solution to that abuse is more bureaucracy? When has that ever solved anything?
well, and I know that's kind of a catch-22, but would you call requiring someone to submit a drug test bureaucracy? When you think, like I said, we talked about people that are on welfare that are cashing in, selling their EBT cards, buying expensive food on the government's dime, and then selling it for cash to do whatever, to supply a drug habit.
I'm glad you brought that up, because
to
here in
buy-
Texas, certain items you can't buy them with like the Lone Star card, for instance.
Right. But see, it
They
happens
do have
here.
some
You
restrictions
know,
in other
I'm
states.
talking at Atlanta, Georgia. We see it all the time. People will buy whatever, like meat, for instance, big, fillets and lobster, and they buy it. Hell, there's people that actually sell it to restaurants. There's restaurants that buy this at a fraction of what they could pay an actual food vendor. But they give them cash money, and so these people are in turn, whether it's buying items that they could not have bought with the card, that they need cash. It could be a legitimate item. It could be a legitimate purchase, but more than likely they're using that cash to buy drugs, to sell drugs, to make more money.
Hold on. First off, I'm not going to dispute that there's people abusing the system. We all agree with that. Now, you're suggesting that some of them are buying food and then selling it to stores or restaurants or whatever. Then that's two criminals. That's not just one anymore. So now it's not just the welfare
also.
abusers. Now it's an abuser of the system, which is what I'm talking about. So again, how do you stop abuse of a system by making the system bigger? It's obviously
it's not necessarily making it
abused
bigger.
because it's too big, because there's not enough people watching it. So they're going to say, we need more people watching it now. And then once we have more people watching it and there's still abuse, then they're going to say, now we need more something. So you're going to suggest drug tests. And if you ask me if that's bureaucracy, it's the definition of bureaucracy. First off, they're going to pay somebody in a college somewhere to figure out what is actually drug abuse. You know that. They're not going to just start with established facts. They don't do that. They're going to start with,
first.
In this area, what is drug abuse? Because you guys even said it last night. You don't think marijuana is drug abuse. You don't think this and that is drug abuse. Well, is alcohol drug abuse? I know tons of drunk people that beat their kids and beat their wives. Now they're allowed to go get food stamps, but then somebody who, I don't know, name a drug they don't like, doesn't beat his wife, he's not allowed to get it now. So it doesn't matter. They're going to have to figure out what the definition is, and then somebody's going to have to write that definition for $30,000 or $300,000. Then they're going to have to create a bureaucracy, another level of bureaucracy for whoever it is that actually is going to be, like, let's say, managing the office, and then the people who go out and buy the real estate, and then the people that furnish the offices, and then probably some horrible contracts for filling the offices with furniture, and then the paperwork that they got to come up with for this new system to try to keep track of all welfare people's drug habits, and then they're going to want to merge that with Obamacare, right? Because it's health. So I can't see anything but bureaucracy there when you say that, Stone Guy.
All right, let me run this facet by you.
Let me just say this real quick before you get that, and that is the reason why I love having these chats, and that's what pisses me off when you get these ass clowns out there making off the cuff comments and putting people down for their ideas or the way they think. Like I said, fuck you. I can't help that you were abused as a child and you have pent up anger and you're pissed off at the world, so you get on YouTube and type your little comments, in the comfort of your house and talk shit. That I can't help that. If that's what gets you off, great.
That's strength and anonymity.
Right, but the fact of the matter is that's what I love about having these chats, is being able to hear someone else's opinion and someone else's the way their mind thinks, because I would have never thought the way you just put that would have never crossed my mind in in that way. And so see, I'm me.
They
what I'm saying?
The system. And then they
complain
that the system doesn't work to ask for more system. And then we're not only bitching about it, but we're bitching about how to get a more system faster.
Yeah, and see, and to me, like the way my brain thinks, I'm thinking one way. I'm thinking of an end, like an ultimate solution, and I guess blinded by the like how I got there, as long as I get my end result. And where your mind's thinking more, oh, well, hello, you're creating more bureaucracy to get that result you want. So it's great. That's why I love about these chats, and I love to the difference in the ways people's minds work and the way people view things and approach things. And we're all different, man. That just goes to show you we're all different people. We all solve problems differently and approach our frame of mind and our thinking we're all different. So, anyway, what were you gonna say?
Well,
whoever
I
said
live in
that.
the fourth largest city in the country, and there's a lot of people here, and there's a lot of welfare systems here. There's a lot of Social Security offices, food stamp offices, etc. And I think you can tweak the current system in such a way where it doesn't have to grow. Because right now in my town, it's too big already. There's too many clerks and too many desks, and the buildings are too big, and there's way too many people going in them. And I think part of both yours and Stone Guy's idea has merit. But the thing is in my example of where I am, if you deter enough people to stop showing up because they know they can't jump through a certain hoop because they're doing something illegitimately, that means all these extra clerks that are sitting around have nothing to do. They can be retasked to do the right things for the people who deserve to have their benefits while testing off the people who don't. They don't have to make it bigger. They're just repurposing the people that are already there. They're actually earning their paychecks.
I'll jump right
They're
into
just getting fat on them.
benefits from the government if you want.
I mean, most of the Social Security people that even my dad, who's 80 years old, goes and sees, he says, I sat in that office for 3 hours and watched this woman file her nails and talk to the woman next to her at the other desk. And I could have just been in and out. And I thought, well, that's just a waste of resources. She could have been doing something.
Or, you know what? I've been to places where I'm eating lunch and the customer walks in and that's his issue because I'm allowed to eat lunch. You know what I'm saying? And what, do I got to go eat lunch somewhere else because I have to worry about if he perceives if I'm on lunch or not? I
No,
hear you.
but I mean, 3 hours is excessive.
We don't have any idea what the circumstances are, and we're talking about government. They get off because they got a headache or something. They got all kinds of crazy excuses for not having to work.
I mean, when you see lines that wrap around the building in your area, obviously whatever's in there is not working, or it's so tied up with, just red tape that it's not efficient. It has to be.
Well, let me try it this way. What is there to encourage them to be efficient? Anything? Anything? Is there any reason why they need to
How
be
about
efficient?
job security?
They have job security, don't they? They still have their job, and you're bitching about a 3-hour wait. So what about them not having to deal with 6 people is going to make them work with the 3 people that are left over any faster? They're the post office. So if they're worse than the post office, because they don't even have to deal with people like
Right.
they only have to 4 people.
So that's exactly right. It seems like across the board, you see that with like city workers. I know everybody's ridden down the road and seen 6 people standing around and 1 person digging a hole or paving the road. You know what I mean? It's like,
Oh, yeah.
You go to the post office, there'll be a fucking line wrapped out the door. They'll have 2 cashiers like actually manning a station, and they'll have 6 cashiers standing around in the back. It's just, it seems like government throughout all facets of government work, you run into that issue. You run into that issue of extreme inefficiency.
So that's the problem then. It's not the process, it's the inefficiency of the people that are working the process.
But like G-Web's
No,
saying,
not at all. It's because it attracts people like that. We need those people to work somewhere, I guess. But the problem with the whole thing is the concept that somehow people are due something by being alive.
So what we're saying is people are the problem. We just got to get rid of all the people.
No, thoughts. Just some crazy-ass communist thoughts that got sucked in here during the 60s, during the Cold War. If you cannot conquer your enemy, let them crumble from within.
So how are you guys doing all tonight, since I just joined this chat?
Hey, good. Who are you?
Who am I? Or are you guys saying how am I?
Oh, you know who that is.
No, I've never seen this guy in my life. Who's this?
You just joined yesterday.
Yeah, it was on last night.
I think so.
Oh, okay. I don't have my camera on, so I just see your little profile picture, and I don't recognize it. So.
You do
you got a channel name?
Yeah, Big Gunner 81 is my...
Oh, okay, right on.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were just talking shit about you a minute ago.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Were you watching me on Tech Daddy Live?
I did.
No, just because of the Wednesday thing, so we're gonna see if we can't talk Matt into jumping to Thursday or something.
Yeah, I watched it. I watched it.
Magnet for shows.
I watched it just long enough to hear that you don't carry a fucking gun, and I was like, what kind of guy starts a gun channel that doesn't carry a gun?
Hey, I just haven't started carrying one yet. I'm working on that.
All right, well.
But you know what? Tech Daddy.
What state do you live in? What state do you live in?
I'm in Illinois.
And then how long have you had CCW?
We've only had it for about, a year now, I think.
So Stone Guy, give him a break. He's like literally on the cutting edge of it in Illinois.
All right.
are.
Well, since you live in a communist country, I'll give you a break.
I will say this. Kevin Tech Daddy is hooking me up with a holster for my 226, so maybe I'll start carrying my full size.
Yeah.
Kind of wasn't thinking I wanted to carry a full size, but I may just try it for now and see how that works until I figure out something else.
Good deal. Well, welcome, man. Appreciate you hopping in.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you guys having me here too. I enjoy talking with you guys and everything, so it's cool. I think this is a great site.
And Stone Guy, thanks for inviting me. I was doing a lot of listening just there. There's a lot of listen to, right? So.
Oh, that's so. Yeah, we got Mr. Lock and Load. Sorry, I didn't see your picture there. I'm jumping from screen to screen, and I don't have my camera on. So if I'm not on this screen, I don't see anybody's little icon.
Oh, that's all right.
Well, yeah, man. Welcome. Appreciate you tuning in. Thanks for watching. So like anybody else out there, this guy's, he says he watches the show, he asks for a link, and like I said, we're all about getting new people in here. So if anybody asks for a link, you get a link in. It's not like some fancy private club where, we
That's cool.
we talk to all. So
So I shouldn't feel special? Dang it, no.
No, but please do watch a couple of videos first before forming an opinion of the panelists.
yeah.
Oh yeah, I've been watching Stone Guy between Never Enough Ammo's chats, and same with gun websites and G-Webs and all that stuff, obviously. So yeah, I've been.
And he still showed up, so I don't know what's wrong with that guy.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I've been probably watching for like 2 or 3 years. So.
Oh, right on, man. Appreciate it. So another thing that we were talking about that was kind of a discrepancy, and I guess it does depend on the state you're in, but I did my due diligence and did some research today and looked up some things. And this is just my state. But my state says the figure will greatly vary based on age of the family members, medical needs, a single-person household versus a 4-person household, yada yada. Can receive up to $500 for food, with housing, subsidized housing, meaning basically their rent's paid, and an average expectation can be placed on a family of 4 receiving up to $900 per month.
For housing?
No, that's the, yes, that's for the housing. So a $900 a month for the housing, and then a $400 to $600 just cash expenditure.
All right, so they get $900 a month, which barely covers a 2-bedroom apartment in my town.
Right.
$600 a month for everything else, like food and utilities.
No,
and whatnot.
$500 for food. So you're talking rent pay shit. In my area, you could $900. You could have a nice, $150,000, $200,000 house. You could have a $900 mortgage payment, easy, with that. Now, I don't know if you're allowed to do that. I don't know if they'll pay you an actual mortgage. I think that is part of their, like, Section 8 housing. Like, you may be required to live in an apartment complex.
Yeah, I think having a mortgage would probably disqualify you.
Yeah, so, but anyway, so your house is paid for, then you got $500 for food, which is not a lot.
Not for a family of 4.
No, not at all. And then another. So on average, let's just say average of $2,000 to $2,400 free money, a month. And the discrepancy was there was someone that was saying that no, it's more like $200 or $300 a month. Well, that's way off. We're way off in numbers there. And like I said, that's just for my state.
And this is for a family of 4, though, right?
This was a family of 4.
All right. Well, if you really break that down, all right, say dad and mom both work, dad and mom both have jalopies, and, that's car, gas. If they have an infant, there's diapers. That goes into the food expense because it's at the same Lone Star or WIC cards that you use.
Right.
That's probably co-pays for Medicaid.
Right.
So
I don't
it
think some
dwindles very quickly.
Oh yeah, and that's the other thing I wanted to make sure people understood that may watch this and do a comparative is I don't think anybody's questioning whether there should be more money or whether the money that they get is enough money, or that's not even that's not a question, right? That's not a question of whether it's enough, whether it's too much. It's not. Yeah, it's not the amount. It's the fact that people abuse the system. And like you said, yes, you could split hairs and probably, if you looked at a fine-tooth comb with a lot of systems that are available in this country, there's probably a lot of systems that are abused. I guess the welfare, to me, is a little more, it's just, from what I'm exposed to, it's a little more in your face, and I guess so that's why to me it's a little more, it hits home a little more when I see how people are abusing it, how just
The
brazen and just ballsy these people are that abuse the system, and it frustrates me to know that I've worked my entire life since I was 14 years old. I've always had a job, busting my ass, and then you got people that have never had a job
and they're living better than you
that
sometimes.
live better than I do.
Yeah, and here in my state, you can get up to $30,000 of checks, and plus, food help of some store. I'm not exactly sure what type of it.
Can I interject something?
Absolutely.
So I was on the chat last night with that guy talking about how $200 a month and this and that, and I'm sitting here going, I've worked with people, I've known people where I hear them on the phone talking to their friends, telling them how to work the system, telling them how long they have to be at their job
There's wiki pages on it.
before they can get the employment insurance, how to get the food card, how to get the free housing. I've heard it all. And when you actually look at statistics and stuff, which you can do, I think the average person who gets government assistance earns right below the poverty line and then gets free housing on top of it. Then they work their own side job under the table. So all in all, they don't do bad for themselves, and they can do a part-time job, raise their kids, and get 15,000-16,000 a year from the government, and everything's under the table. They pay no taxes. So I mean, the idea that they get $200 a month is BS.
I don't disagree with you on the part about how they have somebody will tell somebody how to, word of mouth tells people how to get, like you're saying, like only work so many on your side job so you don't get alerted. But as far as the how to work the actual system, they don't have to go anywhere for that. The system itself pays for shit to encourage people to use the system because the system wants to exist and get bigger, so it needs as many people as possible in there. One way of perceiving that is Democrats want voters, but that's just a happy circumstance for them. It's the fucking system, and it can be a Republican system or a Democrat system or a Libertarian system, unfortunately. But the system itself, the fucking word system means a bunch of shit that works together in order to, work. And that's what really creates it. In other words, you can just go to any government website and ask, how do I get on public assistance? And they'll fall over themselves telling you how to get on it. They can't wait for you to get on there if you qualify. And I'm sure they'd like to have the qualifications get bigger.
Now, do you think that, and if I'm reading what you're saying here, G-Webs, do you think that it is a call it an agenda,
I know it's
a goal?
Great for up until like the Cold War.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So do you think it is?
Problems, people helped them. We didn't have. Where was the mountains of dead poor people that we had before the government came by and saved them all? That didn't happen. We only have these circumstances now that it's there.
Well, so that's what I'm getting at. Do you think it was that this was created intentionally?
Yes.
To kind of in a way, and I hate to use this word, but to kind of enslave people that are trapped in that welfare system, that say, once they're in, it's hard to get out. There's no jobs. You can look at it from both sides. I don't think
that at all. I think it was strategically engineered to appeal to every single human being. Who doesn't want to sit there and not do nothing?
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's that's what I'm getting at. How are you gonna convince someone that sits at home, that doesn't have to get a fucking job, that gets a check every month?
They ain't voting on it. They're the ones sitting at home on welfare. Trust me.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
They're the ones going and voting. They ain't voting for shit. It's the suckers who are like, oh, we can fix that. Let's vote for it and fix it. That's the ones who are perpetuating it.
Yeah, that's exactly my point. Is you're never gonna get. To me, I don't think we'll ever get a large enough percentage of people to vote against someone that's signing a check for them every month. And I think that's where the ultimate conspiracy, if you will, comes in when you say if it was an agenda for the government to enslave in quotation marks, enslave people of the welfare system to be somewhat obligated slash indebted or feel like they have to vote for the people or the political group that's signing their checks every month, that's making sure that they continue their welfare benefits, i.e., the Democratic Party. What do you think?
Oh, I'm sorry, was that a question? I thought you were saying a statement.
Yeah, no, I mean, did that come through?
Yeah, the Democrats have a pretty efficient system of helping their constituents vote by picking them up by buses and holding rallies and all this other kind of stuff that helps.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting at. Yeah, and that's what I'm getting at. And most of those people do receive welfare. So, like I said, if you want to be conspiracy theorist and draw a loose, connection here, you could say that this is a well orchestrated, agenda of the Democratic Party to enslave people that are on welfare or government assistance.
I hear you, and I'm not against the acknowledgement of a system that's working against us, but I think you're giving way too much credit to Democrats. I think they're too stupid and disorganized like every other group to be able to do that, because if they could do that, they would have gotten rid of guns, because they hate guns just as much as they want our money, right? So if they were that good, they'd have done something else. So I think it's just a circumstance, but I think it is a way to, again, you're not Republicans, but you're not Democrats, and you're talking about how much is the right amount to spend. We're not taking the discussion out to the bird's eye view of do we need this system. We're still talking about if we can work the system. So it's not a Democrat or a Republican. It's just a big government.
Right.
So, but I don't think the numbers are there. I think if you took every single person on welfare, and I don't believe you'll ever really get every one of them to vote, but let's say you just did that and counted them all, I don't think that's enough population to swing national elections.
Okay.
Do you?
I don't know.
I'm going to disagree with the fact that most national elections are 1% to 2% decided.
Yeah, it's enough to swing close elections.
Well, that I'll give you if it gets close enough. I just suspect that there's probably like the abortion or immigration. I think those are probably bigger numbers of people who give a shit about it.
Think about this though. With the last presidential election, it was reported. I mean, it's a legitimate statistic. That's only, I think it was either 33 or 36. Those numbers are sticking in my head. 33 or 36% of all registered voters actually showed up to vote.
So if that's the case, and I'm not going to dispute it because I remember that turnout was pretty poor, I'm not going to scold the poor people because honestly they're probably getting batted around right here. A lot of them are getting batted around because they don't have the wherewithal at the moment to change their situation. They probably would. So I don't blame them. I blame all the fat people that sat around not voting because for whatever reason they decided to not vote. So if it's poor turnout and the few people on welfare were able to swing it, that ain't the fault of the poor welfare. And I'm not the Democrats who orchestrated that, because that was just, again, circumstance. It was going to happen because people who should have been doing the work didn't get up off their ass and vote.
Well, then you have the other side of the argument, and this is just devil's advocate, of people that go, well, the only reason those people could vote is because they don't have a fucking job and they had time to go vote. All the people that are hardworking Americans couldn't get off work to go vote.
They're not Americans. They're not. Okay, if they're Americans, then they're saying it wrong. If they're not citizens of the United States, if they have an excuse for not voting, at least if they want to have an excuse for not voting, then that's also their excuse for not having any say in anything that happens because they didn't participate. So
yeah, they shouldn't have the right to complain.
But you guys have, and like I said, I just said that as devil. You've heard that.
I hear that, but I don't give an ounce of credit to some lazy motherfucker who's going to suggest that there's any reason he can't get to a poll, or he or she can't get to a poll on one day. I mean, I'd be open to different options on how to vote. I'm not saying that we have to do things the way we've always done it, but there's no refuge given to somebody who has the ability to go and chooses not to, and then has the gumption to get up and say that they have an opinion about what happened. Nope.
All right, and now I do want to, because we've kind of been harping on this kind of get into the other side of it, kind of segue into the idea of um, of drug testing, just as one simple, just as a, like you said, you're creating more bureaucracy. You know, I hear that argument, but you're talking just, it's a small facet of a huge problem, but it could be a substantial deterrent for potential abusers of that system.
Well, let's talk about could be then, because that's the crucial word there. If you're talking about somebody who's determined to manipulate a government system, do you seriously think a drug test is going to stop them? Where does a drug test stop anybody? People in prisons fake drug tests. So I don't think that the threat of a drug test is going to bother anybody, because they know they can use that welfare money that they're going to get anyway, or they already got, to buy the fake dick and the fake pee and pass the piss test.
Yeah, but see, I've taken drug tests here in my state where you have to face the person.
I've taken a few in my time too, and the only time they ever saw my dick was in the Army. That's the only people that ever make you look. Every other job I've ever had, you go into a little room and you come out with hot pee and they're happy. So I don't know. I'm not a druggie, but I do know that there's ways that you can beat any test. Tests are tests. They're for the majority, and to suggest that if people who are criminals are going to be scared off by a hurdle, they're clever. They're criminals. They're lazy. They're going to not be scared off by that. If anything, it's afraid to pull their history and clean pee somewhere.
The majority of the amateurs, though, and they're not. They're going to be put off by that.
Oh, not at all. How can at the same breath you guys talk about how they collaborate and figure out how to milk the system, and then you're getting offended because they're driving around in fancy cars talking about how long the wait takes? 6 months from now, or 6 months after they pass a drug test, you're going to be having the same conversation, except, I was sitting in front of the welfare line and they were bitching how easy it is to pass the test, and they still have to wait line.
It's safe to do the research, but it's not safe to stick your neck out if they catch you. That's the difference. If they catch you...
I seriously think you're looking at this as a law-abiding person who respects the law. I don't think you're looking at this as somebody who doesn't give a shit about the law, and they're going to immediately start putting numbers on it, like what's a misdemeanor, like what we do when we're talking about walk carrying in a place that has a sign. We could care less about that law, right? We're the same people who are going to law-abide every other moment of the day, but when that stupid sign is up and we know it's simply a misdemeanor trespassing, if we're rowdy, we're going to ignore it. Well, why would we think for a second that somebody who's so hardcore that they're going to be abusing a system to live off of, they're even going to blink twice about another level of deception to get that free money? I really don't know. But I also think...
Is there a way to make it punishable by putting a felony on their record?
Okay, and well, let me sidestep it then, because there's another problem I have with this in a major way, and that is enforcing the stupid anti-drug shit by suggesting that that's another way that you're good or bad, or that we need another government list of who's on the list or who isn't. I mean, if we're talking about drug testing for something that's unfortunately part of the public thing now, so nobody even bats an eye that we're going in and taking people's pieces of them and putting it into the government to make sure that it's okay to do something. But as soon as that's abused and they lose any bit of money, or they get any kind of pressure and they figure they have to do something, we know they don't care about curing anything, they just need to dance around, then what's to stop them from creating a giant list of all the people who have not passed?
Because most of those people already have priors, or they're already on a list.
I fear that if you continue to look at them and us, you're not looking at it as the right them and us. It's statists and then the rest of us who want to live free. And if we continue to say them and us for the dividing up all the free individuals, we've done nothing but establish more and more power and credibility for this idea that the state is the one that gets to be the referee all the time. It's always the state that has to come along and be the deciding factor. Every time we step more towards that, we reinforce all that. And I guess that's my concern, is that if we look at this and think of it as an individual type of thing, there's poor people, and that's the problem. And that this government bureaucracy isn't and hasn't for decades solved the problem. In fact, it's just exacerbated the problem by wasting all of our money and getting us upset. I'd much rather have a conversation where we talk about how can we come up with an alternative to that, as opposed to simply shouting at the clouds and wondering how we can blame ourselves or some other subset of ourselves, meaning the population of the country. It's not our fault. They created this situation. They've putted us head to head,
And
and
they
they're
perpetuate it.
profiting off of us bitching about it, going at it with each other. Not us in this room, but us as individuals, the poor
Yeah.
people, the rich people, or the black
Yeah.
people, the white people, or the people on the internet, the people on phones, or whatever it is.
Well, here in Texas, they already voted for drug testing for welfare anyway. It's already passed the Senate. I don't know if it's been signed in yet, but I know us and Tennessee and 6 other states already have this on the books. So
Yeah.
they're trying the deterrent, and maybe our states will be the case study, and maybe there will be some precedent set that this will work. But if it doesn't work, then they can always just fall back and say, well, at least we tried.
Well, I'm all about states doing stuff. I'd take the government deciding they're the ones that get the test stuff. So you're saying how many states have started drug testing for
7.
welfare? And how long have they been doing it?
It's been this is the year it started where
Okay.
people are
So they're
starting to propose these laws. It hasn't actually taken effect yet.
Okay.
But I think it's a good idea to at least get a couple started just as an experiment because, like you said, I mean, welfare and benefits and such like that, it should be a state's thing anyway. So they should determine what requirements are necessary and what screening is necessary and what enforcement should be necessary. That way it keeps government small because it's a state government, not your federal government, sticking their nose in everyone else's business. But until someone does it to prove it works or doesn't work otherwise, we're just all going to bang our heads together saying it's a problem and it's always going to be a problem. So let them try it out. Let us try it out. If Texas has to be the first, so be it. We're one of the biggest states with the biggest number of people on welfare, so let us try it as a case study. And if it works, then the rest of the country can follow after.
Yeah, that's the issue though. If it works, then the federal government might put it in as law, right? And we're just saying we'd rather have it in the state.
The federal government will need to
level.
write it as a state's right.
Let me try it a different angle then. You guys are
But
all
will they do that?
you're all against immigration, right? Or the illegals coming over here?
Illegal immigration, yes.
That's what I meant. Sorry, you're all against the illegals, right? So
I'm for setting a limit of how many we accept a year.
illegals though. Illegals.
Immigrants in general.
Walking
But
across.
illegals, yeah, I got an issue with it.
Well, shit, if we got an issue on immigrants, then that's a whole other thing too. But I'm assuming most people I talk to in these things are against all illegals. So if you're against illegals, then again, how in your own head do you line up giving free money away to anybody who deserves it? And I'm putting on my quotes with "deserve it" because I don't think anybody deserves it. And then getting mad that people flock to this country for the free shit we're giving away. So are we supposed to keep giving away cheese and then get mad every time a mouse comes up, or do we stop giving away the effing cheese?
Yeah, I was going to mention that earlier. I think if even if we didn't end welfare, if we reformed it so that way people that aren't even a citizen of our country couldn't get it, I think that would end a lot of the issues that we have currently
End a
over
lot of
immigration and over welfare abuse.
Well, why are you
Yeah,
guys
I
so
mean-
stuck on us having welfare? Do you guys? I mean, if I had
No,
my
that's
welfare
what-
gone
yeah.
tomorrow, you have like dead people in the streets. in
Well,
your
that's
guys'?
and I hear what you're saying, G, and that's I think at this point in our society and what United States of America has become, I don't think we could ever go back to not having a welfare system because of what it has become and because of the amount of people that are on it. And you've said there's someone that said something last night about if we did end welfare, would we be inadvertently creating way more criminals that have to revert to crime to be able to feed their family? Is that a valid concern? Is that a valid argument to keep a social program to keep criminals in check? I mean, in essence, that's what you're saying. You're saying, and not you, but I'm saying that the people that are supporting welfare are saying, oh, well, these people are 1 foot in, 1 foot out from becoming, a vast criminal element that would, start robbing and pillaging and crime rates would shoot up because they don't have the government subsidies to be able to feed their families.
It would be like a war. It would be like a war zone. Yeah, it would be crazy, and especially in cities. Yeah. But I think that brings to a different topic of I think we need a clean slate in government. That's the only way we would be able to change it without really messing things up. But I guess that would mess things up too. So.
And real quick, because we did this last night, just kind of a random break in the chat. Gonna do the giveaway real quick for those of you that are watching and may watch in the future and don't know. We've Gun Website started a website called gunchannels.com, which is a channel, website, group, all the above. It's a site to go. Say it again.
It's like a gun club or a bar or something.
Yeah, exactly. It's like a gun club. It's a place of like-minded people to go and chat and post things, and it's just
The
super
Facebook of
cool.
gun owners.
There you go. It's like a Facebook. It's super cool. Check it out. It's gunchannels.com.
It's like Facebook will be like in 10 years because we're way better than Facebook.
Right.
Facebook, and there's none of the crap that's on Facebook.
So you go check out Gun Channels, and he's done the daily patch giveaway here for quite some time now. So every day, every chat really, we do a giveaway. Tonight I'm picking Greg Campbell from the YouTube side. He's always in the chats. He's always commenting, and we appreciate you tuning in. Appreciate the support, you watching. So Greg Campbell, if you go to gunchannels.com/DPG, which is Daily Patch Giveaway, and GWebs has made a form for you to fill out with your shipping information, and just fill that form out, and he'll get the patch out to you. Little prize pack. So again, appreciate you tuning in, and always always commenting. So we see you, and so you win. So anyway, like I said, we did it kind of random last night, and in Matt's chat, so I thought that was pretty cool. We picked one that was a good comment, and so anyway, back to it. Check out gunchannels.com. It's a cool little place. So as far as the I think we kind of gone over that enough as far as our opinions on that. The drug testing and the whole thing. It's but that leads into a good question that you brought up, G-Webs, as far as with the amount of people that are on welfare. I don't think you could ever get rid of that.
Yeah, there is literally 35. Oh, maybe not right now, but according to the 2012 census, there was 35% of our country was on some sort of welfare.
And there again, it's like he said, is it a what'd you say? What was it? World War I? World War II? What was the time frame you gave, G-Labs?
For what?
For when you said back in World War II, you didn't see poor people dying in the streets because we didn't have welfare. I mean, when, and that's something I don't even know. Like, when was our welfare system?
You see, my dad grew up right in the middle of that in a very poor part of Michigan. And you're right, they did not have a welfare system. However, they did have something called Aid for Dependent Children. And my dad knew somebody who was on that, and they would go to basically like an army commissary almost and get car trunkfuls of stuff. But it was because they needed it.
Right. Now, what year was that?
We're talking about...
This is like the mid to late 40s.
Okay.
Now, we're talking about welfare and the people that may or may not, that are abusing it, right? And then I said, I think it's their manipulation to limit us to blame the people that are the recipients, right? So that's where I said I don't think welfare should exist. Now, that is not the same, and Yankee will immediately jump to that's the same as saying poor people all need to die, because that's not the same thing. I'm as compassionate as anybody, and I have ultimate faith that everyone in this room, everybody in this gun culture, everybody in this country is not about to watch anybody die on the street. So I suggest that, like you were saying before there was established federal level garbage, there were not poor people in the streets because there were, but there were not, we weren't like a horrible country of the plague or something because everybody was dying of poorness, because there was all kinds of little things happening. And I think that's where we excel, is by innovation and creation and figuring things out. So I mean, if it's how can we expect this government to figure it all out and to win? What are they doing? They're giving poor people like corn syrup, peanut butter, and like Pop-Tarts and marshmallows and shit. They're giving them crap, right? It's not like the government is making a whole bunch of healthy poor people. They're making them into very unhealthy people that then need to use the free government
medical services
we're all entitled to. So I suggest if we had no welfare, no federal government welfare, where they stole all of our money and then lost a bunch of it in the bureaucracy and then wasted a bunch of it with bullshit that they're going to keep alive a bunch of unhealthy poor people, that if those poor people then said, oops, I need some help, I don't expect all the poor people to get off their ass and get a job. That's unrealistic, and I don't have any illusion that everyone should be able to go through life without any problems. I totally understand that without their intent, that people ran into circumstances that required help. And I'm all about helping people. I'm just saying, quit letting the government steal from us so that we don't have the resources anymore. And it's we're the ones being frustrated that we can't do more for these people. Let us do more for these people, and we'll figure out the ways to do it. Smart people like Bill Gates or what's his face that made the iPhone and all the other smart people that did whatever little inventions, they will figure out how to feed people. Trust me. We haven't even gotten into like
advocate here.
We haven't even gotten into like all kinds of different ways to make lots and lots of food effectively. And what sucks is that the government, I mean, I don't want to get too far out of whack here, but if we're talking about feeding poor people, the government goes out and pays subsidies to make farmers not do shit so that they have other shit so that they have other subsidies, and the government is this massive bureaucracy. We're getting pissed about corporations. They're the ones who are perpetuating all this shit by saying, we need this much money for welfare food, so we're going to have to, do this so that this, and it becomes this big interconnected, again, bureaucracy that depends on itself. And then again, you guys start going, oh, it's too big to change. F all of that. Everything is too big to change if you look at it as one thing. But if you look at it as half of it, half the job, and then half of that job, and then half of that job, now we're talking about approachable. Now we're talking about 25% of the job being done at an approachable level.
Well, and you brought up a good point as far as
kill this whole thing in like one generation.
Well, that brought up a good point. If you think about, let's say he's saying there was no welfare in the mid-40s. I don't know when exactly the welfare system was introduced and actually, solidified in our government. But let's just say it was in the 50s. So you're saying in the 50s so you're, what is that, 65 years? So in 65 years, 35% of our population has become dependent on welfare. That's ridiculous. That's like astronomical from, let's say, from the 1900s or 20s to the 50s, like where no one had to worry about that. You're in the same time period, and you're saying 35% of our population.
I can touch on exactly why that's become the way it's become. We have a job corps where nobody wants to do certain types of jobs. And right now, we are incredibly short on skilled labor because nobody wants to get their hands dirty anymore.
Now, let me ask you this: is it that, or is it the fact that, and I have a kind of a strong opinion about this? Is it that we don't want to get our hands dirty, or is it that these fucking illegals that come in our country are willing to do the same job for half the pay?
Is that the fucking illegals problem, or is that the fat ass who doesn't want to do the work for a regular pays job fault?
Well, it's not a regular pay though, and there again, you're in another.
Or is it a minimum wage problem?
There is no illegal immigrant that's going to be working for a plumbing
alive
company.
and fed and healthy, or is it a minimum wage that's going to buy you all the cable channels you need and the movie every weekend and Starbucks every morning? So
there you go.
If you insist on having that level of luxury to be poor, then it's your own fault for not getting the job. Now, I'm not scolding everybody doesn't have a job for damn sure, but I'm definitely suggesting that if we continue to lay blame on illegals, which is just a fucking word that no one ever has to justify. You can just say illegals and it goes away. It's in the smoke. There's no other end to that. There's not a political party for illegals that anyone gives any credit to, right? They don't organize. So that's not an answer. That's just shaking your fist at the sky and saying, I hate how white the clouds are. I mean, that's not solving anything.
Well, no, absolutely not. It's not solving anything. But and he just, when he said that, it just made me think of, are people not willing to get their hands dirty, or
No,
are
I
they
think
just not
it's
They're not
willing?
willing to work at a level or at a pay level that the
Right,
elite.
at a
Right.
pay
If they
level
want to
that we
work,
we
they'll work.
expect. Well, and there is a certain amount of, and I hate to use the word entitlement, or a level of financial
Expectation.
expectation, exactly, a financial expectation that we have as Americans, as you know when you have, and I'm going to say it again, when you have illegals, and we're just going to say $10 an hour. That's a pretty basic medial, pay scale for a day labor. Let's say $10 an hour. When you have someone that's working a $10 an hour job, doing what they do, and then you have an illegal that comes to this country illegally and is willing to do the same work for $5 an hour, whose fault is that? How do
The
you
employer who takes the illegal.
That
well,
the
absolutely.
government has to screw with capitalism then. That's suggesting that the government has to come in and say, here's who you can hire and who's who you can't hire. And that's asking the government for a damn list.
Well,
Yeah, but isn't that a conundrum? I mean, that's a fucking that you're between a rock and a hard place there.
Wait, we
'Cause
do ask the government to hire people on a list, and those are the people who own a social security card. That's the list. That's perfectly acceptable.
Hmm.
And it's mostly for tax purposes anyway, isn't it? That
The
your Social Security is
number?
basically
No, Social Security is for Social Security, period. That's what it's supposed to be for. And in fact, I think they wrote a law somewhere that says you can't use a Social Security number for any other type of identification to an individual unless it's for the purpose of Social Security. But I think
And the
you're right.
4473.
For taxes and everything else. It's optional in 4473. It's optional almost everywhere. People have not cherished their privacy.
I
And
never put my shit on a 4473.
now it's more of a thing for everybody to use.
It's
I would have
sneaky on that form because they say, oh, if you put it on there, it'll push you through faster.
Yeah, fuck that. I'll wait. I'm not in that much of a hurry.
In a circumstance like Yankee or somebody with like a John Smith name, then it can, because you're not going to get confused with others. Or if you're
Right.
like top secret, or if you've been law enforcement or something, then they can. But for a regular person who has a kind of a unique name, there's no need to put a social on there.
I have had the person at the big box store ask me to put it on there.
That's because they don't know any better.
That's illegal. It can be for policy, but they can't force you to. They can. I think they
I
can.
figured that, but at that stage, I was also not trying to make any waves either. But I hear what you're saying, and I would have preferred not to have put it on there.
Oh, so you
Shoot,
gave in
yet.
to the man? You fucking
I
put
did.
it on there?
I did.
Oh, Island, man.
I didn't want him to say some crazy cracker came in here wanting to buy some assault rifles and shotguns and
Wouldn't give me his
pistols.
social security, so you know he was a terrorist, right?
Right? Oh, shit, I could have been an illegal. Who knows?
Fucking
Are there
illegal going to
illegals in
Hawaii.
Many.
If you're an illegal in Hawaii, like, more power to you.
You're the
This is
smartest
Wait a minute.
illegal
See, this
ever.
is what you're not thinking about, Stone.
you
They're
live in Hawaii, right?
pineapples and lays, so that's
So, like,
no,
for
Smartest
example-
illegals ever.
Stone guy,
Oh.
think about this. Okay, so you got one border where they're coming over the border, right?
Right.
I got people coming from all over the world. And
That's a
some
lot of
don't-
rowing.
And well, they all come in by plane for the most part. Some of them visit relatives, some of them come on vacation, and some of them never leave. So, I mean, whether it's Indonesian, Micronesian, Chinese, Azerbaijani, whatever. Like,
All right, but now let me ask you this.
but I guess we have a different varieties
because
of
when
illegal
you said-
aliens.
When you said they've come in by plane, obviously at some point in that that trip, they've had to have showed a passport or
Right.
Fake one.
something, right?
Well,
So-
no, you could use a real passport to get here. You just
So that's what
don't
I'm saying.
get back
So,
on
but
the plane.
Aren't
now.
they on
That's what they
a?
do.
But aren't they on a list, or aren't they on like? So like when you check in, like I don't know how that works. Like you check into Hawaii, And
Well, wait a minute. What if you're not okay? So you get a plane ticket and you just show up and say you bought a round trip, right? So all you have to not do is not get on that plane, find a job that pays cash under the table,
right.
I'm not gonna lie, I did that.
and unless you're in a job where you work at a place where we do have immigration raids, which we do definitely have those out here. Not quite the same as they are in Born in East LA, but you get the picture, right? Who's the president of the United States? John Wayne. Death Valley days.
Nah, Island, I'm not gonna lie, man. I went and spent vacation to go see my aunt up there. I was supposed to stay for 2 weeks. I didn't come home for 5 months.
Yeah, I mean, that happens to Americans sometimes. They just come and they just stay. And I mean, since it's still the United States of America, there's nobody holding your hand and getting you on a plane. Now, there are certain things in place where, does immigration go, well, this dude never got back on the plane. Well, where was he staying? Oh, he wasn't staying at a resort. He was staying at, a youth hostel or a private residence or something like that.
Right.
So, and another one of the things that kind of happens, I don't know the full legality of it, but anchor babies. If you're
What are anchor babies?
Yeah,
if
what's that?
you are pregnant
Uh-huh.
from another country and you have
Oh,
your
but
baby
you give your birth.
born
Yeah.
in America.
Right.
Now, I'm not sure the entire part of this, but the part that I do know, because
Your baby's a citizen.
your baby's a citizen, and they can't, and they don't. I shouldn't say can't. I should say they usually don't, kick the mother out and keep the
Right,
kid.
exactly. Yeah. Oh well, they can't do that. But what I'm saying is,
Oh shit! They could almost
can't.
deport you both, or
Yeah,
they could
but
take the child. They could take the child away, Child Protective Services, because that's a citizen of the United States right there.
Yeah, but
And
I
you
don't
are
think
not.
they can. Can they do that? I don't think they can do that. I know the child
I don't
becomes
want
a
to see him
citizen.
try. I don't want to see him try because that's crazy
How
shit.
fucked up would that be? To be like, fuck you, you came to our country, this baby's ours now, leave. That would be fucked up.
It's a ward of the state.
Yeah, that would be fucked up.
Repo
So yeah,
baby.
that kind of weird shit that happens out here. I don't want to say on the regular, but sorta.
Wow. Anyway.
Sorry I got here late. Aloha, everybody.
Hey, what's up, brother?
You outside?
I am standing in front of a fan.
Oh, that's what it is.
Yeah, I was wondering where all the wind noise was.
Yeah.
One of your fans that's holding like a big palm frond and blowing it at you?
Nice. I don't have that many subs yet, but I'm working on it.
Nice. Oh man.
Yes, that's an interesting question.
Is that a thing? Because it's like illegal in some countries, right? So that's
right.
That.
I'm sure it happens. I wouldn't doubt it because you're not usually doing that later in the game. You're doing that early in the game.
Were saying I'm all about anchor babies. I consider the United States, calling it America's the United States of America. America is the whole fucking hemisphere. This half of the planet is America. This portion of the continent is North America. And we're in the United States. We are 50 individual states that came together to form a union, and it's a republic. So we do ourselves a disservice every time we allow the communist concept of America to be used as a shorthand. So anyway, I'm all about anchor babies. We're a melting pot. We're the country that is different than all the others, and we are all about people coming together and accomplishing more. So if people want to come here because we're awesome and they want to have their baby here and their baby's a citizen, it's been like that since day one as far as I know, and I'm all about that. If we need more room, we get more room. If we need more food, we get more food. I think it's a disservice to start telling people there's the door. Now we're not open for business. We're not American.
Hang on.
Oh, wait a minute about this. Wait a minute. I have a question. Now, for example, with the anchor baby, usually what happens is that mother is going to work their ass off on the path to citizenship. It'll start out with like a work visa and it'll work on its way, and so that they can get their green card, right?
Sure.
Because their child is a citizen, but they are not, so they are working at getting their green card. And I definitely know of at least 2, maybe 3, that have done exactly that. And so, my opinion is this. If people go about the path the correct way, then
We're open for business.
right, because then I hate to put it like this, because then you have your Social Security and your tax fucking number. That means you're paying taxes. That means you're voting. That means
You're putting into
you're
the
a part of
system
it.
that's working
you're
for
a,
you.
You're a part of the whole. And I definitely agree with G-Webs, and that is one of the things that makes this country awesome, is we are greater than the sum of our parts when we work together. Motherfuckers, we had slide rules and pencils, and we went to the fucking moon. Which I do
And we
not
didn't
believe
have
that was created in a Hollywood.
And
That was green screen.
What? They didn't even have green screen back then. They had, what was it, chroma key?
Best things I've heard is that they redid some pictures on Earth in order to get excellent pictures because
in
it was,
Arizona.
and I suspect that might be the reason we see some that seem hoaxed. But I don't disbelieve that we went to the moon. I mean, how did we get the flag up there? Because we can literally see that. And how did we get the car up there? You can see that with telescopes. We just
And
throw a
number
car up.
2,
Well, we eventually
I
got there.
want
We
to
just
believe
didn't
we went
get
to the
there when
moon.
we said.
You know what I'm saying?
We had to beat Russia to it, so we staged the initial moon landing until we could get our shit together and really get there. We actually got there, but not when.
And we didn't go up there and say, United, this is our 51st state.
We
Bitches.
should have, damn it.
Oh, I not believe me. I know, but that's what I was. It's national pride to me to believe that we did go to the moon, because that is something that up until that point had not been done in the history of the world, as far as we know. I mean, if there's some weird, wacky prehistory stuff, I wasn't in Atlantis. I wasn't there. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, but as far as just to touch on, we're getting close to wrapping this up. It's been a good chat, but the whole thing we said if we need more room, we make more room, we make more food. Well, there is a point of diminishing returns in a sense with
Shit. I am about that word.
I don't believe that it's diminishing returns, Stone guys, as much as it is a finite resource, because really, literally, there is only so much land, but
We've got a lot of unused space right now.
we do have more space, yeah.
Called the state of Wyoming.
Well, yeah, but then you want to fucking you want to cut down these beautiful forests that provide a lot of
not at all.
So
There's a lot of planes.
We are very inefficient. So to suggest that we are running out is only if we also assume we stay at the same standard of living or the same growth rate. So there's lots of things that we can do to adjust ourselves if we felt like it, and we don't need to be told by a bunch of government people who study this.
Fuck that. I want my 10 acres with my log cabin by myself.
There's still country space.
We
But could
still
you
have plenty of
imagine
room
how
for
many
that. When
people
I
we
say
could
make
fit
more
if we
space,
built like
I'm
Japan?
saying make more efficient cities. Let's make some of those cool like islands out of sand that they do over in the Middle East or whatever.
We don't even need that yet.
We can make a whole nother Florida.
Right next to the other floor.
So how do we go from gun chat to this?
That's how
this is
the topic of
we
the
how it is,
solve all
man.
the problems on the planet.
Yeah.
That's we're like the what do you call it? Hall of
The TA
Justice right
NATO.
here.
By the end of this chat, all the world's problems will be solved.
It's just a little something extra we like to do every evening.
And like I said,
the world.
if everybody thought like us, the world would be a better place. So
Oh yeah.
that's the way it is.
No, I agree to a point that we have a lot of unused space, and out of that unused space, if we built it up like Japan built up Tokyo, we could fit billions.
Well, and
Well, I
that's
don't even know that we need to do that. I don't even know that we need to do that. Now,
But
like
we
I like
could.
where G-Webs was going, is that if we can either retrofit or super streamline the efficiency of like urban sprawl.
But
And
do
if
we
you ever
want our
notice,
Dude, do we even need to do super efficient?
Do
just
we
have
do we want our fucking country to look like China? Have you seen how
wait a
fucking
minute,
crowded
wait a minute.
China
We're not
is?
talking about
better.
China.
Wait a minute.
I'm just suggesting that that's an indication that it can be done. We're going to do it way better. You kidding me?
Yeah.
Stone Guy, when you watch any movie from
China
the
has a
future,
lot of open space too. I mean, they're
Stone Guy, when
crowded
you
into
watch,
cities just
Oh, I
like we
think we
are.
meant Japan, though. Japan with the
Hang
giant.
on,
Yeah.
hang on.
okay, so Stone Guy, you watch any movie from the future, is everything all spread out or is it vertical?
Well, it's all vertical, yeah.
Right.
There you go.
So everything is kind of efficient and it just goes up. But that
Yeah,
also
yeah.
means that we might have flying cars. We might have this. We might have
Yeah.
that.
Fifth Element.
I don't know, man, but like you said, and maybe I'm thinking of Japan, like where I've seen like on YouTube videos and shit where like their subways, they literally fucking have to pack each other like fucking sardines into the subway because they're so crowded. Is that
And
Japan
what the
that I'm
really
thinking
funny
of?
thing is
Here's the
that
thing,
subway
nobody's
system
there
is
by
always
force.
on time.
And they're not there by force. That's just the way that culture is. So
Yeah.
they
Right.
dig it. Otherwise, they wouldn't go to work, right? They'd be like, you know what? I'm gonna go move somewhere else where I'm not this crowded. I think they kind of dig it, and that's just the way they are.
Yeah, I
Stone
I
Guy,
don't
let
know.
me tell you a little bit about Japan because I go there like every other year. That what you see on YouTube is the city. I've got another aunt that lives in Hokkaido, which is like the country, and it's nothing like you see in the city. It's like probably what you see out in Georgia. There's just a lot of open space, and there's a
It's
lot of
the
farms.
Great
There's
White
just
North.
small cities. Yeah, it's great. But the thing is, yeah, we do have the space. Yes, we can build it like Japan city models for certain cities, which could, triple or quadruple the capacity of people that are currently living there. Because if all these people came and bought into the system, if they had their kids here or whatnot, and they legally got their green cards and they worked for their visas and they earned their citizenship, just like my mom did back in the late 70s.
Right.
Those are all these people who are buying into the system. These are people
Right.
who are going
Oh,
to
yeah.
help keep Social Security going. These are people that are going to help pay the taxes. To
They're
help
believing
pay
in the
for
dream. dude.
Okay, well that's a good point. Okay, I'm glad you said so now. But do you think that would be a revival of our economic system and of our unemployment as it stands? Our unemployment as it stands now is right around 10%, which is ridiculously
It
high.
would be a reminder of national pride. And these people who are coming don't want to be on welfare. They want better than what they
Well,
have.
and that's what I'm getting at. Do you think it would be incentive if we did have a huge surge in our population
We
where
won't know until we try it.
where we would create, that was a tongue twister, where we would create more jobs with the influx of people and thereby creating these jobs and more people that it would kind of help to curb our unemployment rate and start to lift this cloud of you know what I'm saying?
It's a double-edged sword because
Instead of
these
being
people will
afraid of
come and do those jobs that most of us won't do already. And then once they start getting all these jobs and buying into the economy and helping build this country, then you're going to have the people who are already here who feel self-entitled saying, they come over here, they take our jobs, and be like, motherfucker, you didn't want that job.
They
He came
took
and did
our
it.
jobs.
Exactly. So,
I've
yeah,
never
it's
had
going
an,
to
I've
work,
never had
but
an
there's going to be
illegal immigrant take
repercussions.
one of my jobs ever. I'm not saying I have top security clearance or anything, remotely close to that or anything, but in my entire life, I've never had an illegal alien take my job. I've never had whatever job it is that people think that they're taking.
I don't know. If someone wants to come scrub toilets for a living because, my neighbor doesn't want to do it, more power to them. They want the job. They want the income. They want status.
Hey, man, out
If the guy
here,
wants to sit there and
toilet
complain,
scrubber,
let
a
him.
condo cleaner, if they have enough accounts, they're doing pretty good, actually. They're making more than I am scrubbing toilets and cleaning condos.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Mike Rowe actually has a congressional initiative going to get grants for people here in America who don't mind, repurposing themselves to do the jobs that nobody else wants to do right now. Like, how hard up we are for just skilled welders, even in Houston? We've got, freight train industries. We've got the ship channel. I've got a friend who lives in upstate New York. He's a farmer, and I talked him into going to trade school for welding. He came down here to Houston after finishing an 18-week course, and he's making 150 grand a year first year because they're so hard up for welders down here. There are jobs. People just don't want to do them. He works for the Houston Ship Channel now. He just fixes boats pretty much all day. Boats, barges, containers, you name it. And he was a farmer in New York a year from today, a year ago. I don't know what the hell you grow in New York, but he's a farmer.
Lots of stuff.
Rhetoric?
Grapes for all that wine they've
bad laws and
I thought it's like
legislation.
super far north, isn't it? Like trees only, pumpkins.
Well, he says he's less than an hour away from the border, and he feeds cows and horses up there somehow. So,
Say, does he go to Taco Bell?
I mean, that was a
Surprisingly,
year
there's
ago. He's
actually a
here
lot of
now.
farmland out there.
But yeah, there's good
Yeah, they
money to
got-
be had. There's just nobody wanting to do the work.
Like
At
farmland
least
for
around here.
crops. I didn't think they had seasons in New York. I guess.
Well, guys, it's been.
Is liberal a season? That implies that it's temporary.
That was a good one. Ba-dum-bum. Well, we've been going a little over an hour and a half. I think it's been an hour and a half, so that's a good time to cut it off. Don't wanna...
With new panelists, too.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Appreciate shit. What was your name again? Big Country, Big Gunner,
Big Gunner 81, you got it.
Big Gunner 81. So check him out. He's a new guy on YouTube. Maybe go check his channel out and give him some shit. Tell him to buy a fucking gun.
I
Um,
got a gun.
New to YouTube.
Tell me to carry it.
Yeah.
Yes, I will start carrying it. I'll just start carrying it full-sized. I'll just resign myself to that.
Yeah, you're a big guy, right? You can carry that. You can pull
That's
that
what
off.
everybody says, but I don't know. Even though I'm big, it's just I'm not sure how well it's gonna actually carry on me.
Yeah, you just tuck it.
Wait a
I
minute.
have
What
to
are you
get
talking
some- I'm
about?
Like Cork, I don't.
He's
We
gonna
don't. We
carry a
don't.
226.
We don't know you well enough, but Cork's another panelist that's a pretty big guy, and he used to joke and say he would just tuck it under his flap.
Anyway, come on. Come on.
Oh no,
Right,
Cork's
that's
all
an
about
option,
that flap carry, man. That's the latest thing. But and oddly enough, Cork used to carry a 226, I think.
You're making
Great.
Nathan smash his brains out with a hammer. You know that, Stone Guy. Be nice to Nathan.
We love you, Cork. But anyway, man, no, we appreciate you tuning in and jumping on tonight. Appreciate all you guys out there watching. Again, we do these chats, not only for us, but we do it for our audience. I appreciate the support in the channel, and
People
we'll see you
listen.
next time. Yeah, I don't know why,
Cool.
We're definitely not doing it for the women.
but yeah, no women, but yeah.
Are
Anyway,
we doing it for the children?
Think
it's
of
all
the
about
children.
the children.
I don't know what you're
Absolutely.
talking
In
about.
essence,
From
Yes,
these
think of
chats all the
Kylie.
time.
Or
we're
Kendra.
trying to provide the ability for our children and our children's children.
That's it. So check out gunchannels.com. There's always a chat going on there. Some great people over there. We're always posting new things. There's a lot of forums, a lot of groups for different things you may be into. Gunchannels.com, and we're always doing cool stuff, giveaways and contests and different things like that. So Instagram, check me out on Instagram, StoneGuy223. A lot of the other panelists Instagram have Instagram, and we're all kind of big into that. So check out my Instagram, and again, we appreciate you tuning in, and we'll see you next time.